Bill 2. Welcome to the program. Hey, everybody, welcome to another podcast. Now, this is our first live podcast for the Anchored Voice. So, you are here live for the Anchored Voice, and I am so happy to welcome our special guest today. He's my brother from a different mother,
Definitely.
and this is Garry Graham. You see his picture,
Um,
you see his resume on the other side of my screen here. He has a practice in mental health and also consulting, training, workshops, lectures, seminars. And he
mhm.
gives me a lot of great advice, everybody. I mean, he's my go to for advice on life,
Uh,
on
Thank
how
you.
to anchor life. So, Garry, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Phil. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
We're all trying to just survive this whole thing.
You know that's absolutely right. Yeah. Even me too. So, daily we kind of talked about this. We want to keep it real. A couple of days ago, as a therapist and a counselor, I got to keep myself together because people will expect a lot from me too. So we're really all in this together.
Right,
So
right.
unprecedented. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, your niece, Leah, says hi, Uncle Garry. She's watching on YouTube.
Hey, hi Leah. Happy belated birthday.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're here. Everybody is just, we're all communicating through FaceTime, Facebook, all kind of.
I just wonder sometimes what would it be like if we did not have social media because a lot of people bash social media. So let's say for instance this whole issue is went down in 2004
Yeah.
or even when 9/11 came 2001. You were kind of like on an island to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So people tend to bash social media, Facebook Live or YouTube or all these platforms. But now, over the last 2 weeks, you've seen an increase of people going live. And I'll be transparent, even with me and you and I don't even FaceTime that much. Our main communication is the telephone,
Yeah.
and we don't live in the same city anymore.
Right.
And we're 8 or 9 years apart, and you're one of my best friends, and we still try to keep in contact once or twice a week. But now our intimacy now has to be with FaceTime
Yeah.
because right now I would love to give you a hug, but that's not going to go down.
Nah, bro. Nah, bro. You know what happens the moment you sneeze, man?
Right. Rona, is that you?
It's
Right.
interesting. People kept bashing social media, and I kept saying social media is a platform like everything else. Whether you
Right.
read a newspaper, whether you read a physical book, whether you
Mm,
do a Bible on your phone, or whether you do a Bible and just reading it.
mm.
Social media is a platform. You can use the platform for the good or for the evil, and
Right.
now we're all forced to use it for the good, and I believe right now the good is outweighing the evil.
Has to. Um, I just think that it's if you use it for positive, it will happen. A lot of things I think that the United States and its class and its economic system has been caught flat-footed. For instance, all the kids that are going online now through Zoom
Yep.
or through Microsoft Teams or Google, they've always had that capacity to do it. Now that they're forced to do it,
Yeah.
they're doing it.
Yeah.
And so in my case, my whole caseload has flipped over to teletherapy, where in insurances I had to write, get a specific device or a specific platform in order to get some insurance claims in. Now, you see, the governor we have over 6,000 people who are mental health volunteers. My caseload, everybody has shifted over except for one. And if I need to see her or him, I have to go through special protocols for that. But the case of the matter is, it was always there, and now that we're using it, so that's where it is.
Absolutely. Now, with this coronavirus happening, I heard a report of somebody killing themselves because they had it, and I guess the pressure was just too high.
Mm.
What is your perspective on way people are dealing with it today?
So anybody that commits suicide, uh, I always say that you don't wake up saying I'm going to kill myself today. It doesn't happen that way.
Hmm.
It takes a series of days of depression. Um, it may be accelerated by an event. So if you have depression now, or you're having problems with your mental health, the stress of coronavirus or COVID-19 is only going to exacerbate that. So that's why our great governor has opened up the line for mental health counselors, that you will call them. So I'll be very transparent. You know, I have to wake up in the morning. I have to now wake up in the morning and extend my devotion. You
Yep.
know, so we all been in that place, whether we be in school, tough marriages or whatever, or you have a kid that's going through a hard time, you extend your devotion. So same thing here applies. Then I have a list of people that I call, that I know when I call, that, look, I need to call you. I need to talk to you.
Right.
I need to chat. I try to normalize as much as you can. And I guess the third thing that I try to do is and I'll share again with you is, I was testing this out with my brother, and I had another sweater on, and he said, "Wow, look like that sweater's too big for you." So I know I've lost weight because I've been exercising a lot. So the mayor has allowed us to go outside to stretch our feet, and we have to go out there. Especially yesterday was a real sunny day. You get a good day if you get out early before everybody gets out there. You need to stretch your time, and those kind of will like put it into effect. But the one thing I will say, I probably jump ahead because I probably know one of the questions you're going to ask is, stay off the news. The news you should take, and here's my suggestion: the reality for those of us in New York or your state, because the governors has a handle on this. They really do. Uh, Tune in for the updates, because they're going to give you the reality of it, and stay away from when you go to CNN and everybody, or MSNBC or Fox. All they have is a body count, and I'm not here to see any body counts. Get your information. So the other day, I got the information that I could go outside, and I jumped outside, for about an hour or so, came back in, felt refreshed, and right now it's working for me. I don't know what's going to happen next week, but that's the reality of it. Even talking to you now is some type of reality and normalcy.
That's true. It's true,
Hmm.
and we want to get that as much as possible. Um, and so we do want to stress, getting outside, getting some fresh air, getting some
Yeah.
vitamin D. It's
Hmm.
not just about stay home and stay inside. It's just more stay in your parameters.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes,
now,
that's good. Yep.
what about the
Hmm.
people that go grocery shopping? I mean, you run after a while, you run out of the good snacks, and you're trying to stay quarantined as much as possible. But you got to get out
Well,
there at some point.
you should try. Grocery shopping, and this is something my Nilsa and I have been doing. In fact, this year, so our lives have gotten really busy. Um, the practice has taken off, the consulting has taken off, and kind of remind me so I could talk about that also. So my business has really taken off, and so most of the times I work from home, but now I start moving around the country a lot. I have a lot of appointments. Our baby is in Huntsville. You know, my mom and dad is in Maryland. Again, to be transparent, for those, I travel to Maryland once a month. And Nilsa and I alternate months where we travel to Huntsville, and we have more clients in Orlando. Shameless plug, but what has happened is that we learned to shop online. So sometimes you spend an hour in the grocery store when you could go and shop online, and they'll do the shopping for you. So I'm the primary person, since Nilsi does the 12-hour shifts,
Yes.
that I would go to Stop and Shop and just pick up the grocery. And we found out that Amazon delivers, and there's coupons with that.
Mm.
And so now you're contributing to the economy by having people drop off the food. And the other day, she and I, we have a stack of gloves. And some of the people who drives, they don't even have gloves. So, that's their tip. You know, here's your glove, here's some gloves, and they
Right.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you really don't have to go to the grocery store. There's a grocery store down down the end of our block. We're more in the city. Some of my friends are more suburbia, but they would go down to the block. There's a Jamaican place where they have all the Jamaican cuisines, breadfruit, plantain, and we go there early, and they're letting 5 or 6 people at a time. So we get there early. So delivery is the key, and pickup is the key because it still keeps the economy moving. So I'm not an economist, but Phil, I think that eventually this is going to change our lifestyle. That we don't have to go to the store as often. That the service industry is going to accelerate, especially in the takeout
Right.
and specialty division.
So I mean, you have DoorDash, you have Instacart that will do that.
Right. So is it Amazon? Amazon
Amazon.
does.
So
Right.
also, if you're looking for a job, maybe you're displaced from your job. It if you want to take the risk to go out and shop for people,
Hmm.
it's probably the safer way of making an income during this time.
Right.
Uber Eats, you pick up, you deliver. You don't have to have as much interaction with
Hmm.
people in doing that. So that might be an opportunity for people that need to make some extra money during this time to
Hmm.
sign up with some of those things. But yeah, utilize online delivery.
Well, I also will tell people to a little in the secret is that if you have a LinkedIn account, go to those recruiters. So, I have a mean streak when it comes to recruiters because when you're not looking for a job, they're nagging you. And they have just go to LinkedIn and pull up all the recruiters because there's people that's lost their jobs and they're looking for people who has their jobs.
Yeah,
So look for those recruitment managers.
right.
Look for people's titles that says talent acquisition. Email them from now because what's going to happen with this economy is that we eventually going to get on our feet. I'm not a man of predictor, but so like for instance, like you and I talk, and we give each other advice. One of the biggest advice I tell everybody is start planning for after July 4th and the back half of the year. So so when this economy come back online, you won't be left flat-footed. Start sending emails. Start sending. I like sending hard copy resumes because people still get mail, and one day they're gonna sit and they're gonna go through that. So it's almost like we preparing for reverse famine.
Mm,
One thing I'm on my church board, I tell people that we need to prepare for jubilee. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so for instance, so when the angel of death came and we put blood on our doorpost
Hmm.
and we all here praying that God would deliver us from COVID, what's going to happen when the church opens again? Are we going to keep the same habits over again? There's some pastors that stepped up their game when it comes to online service. What about your regular service?
Right.
This because God is going to give us a season to recraft ourselves.
Mm,
Naming from our girl Paula, who does the recrafting. We're recrafting ourselves,
hmm.
re-energizing ourselves. And the back half of this year, we're going to get an opportunity to serve Him the way we're supposed to.
Come on now.
So
Come on.
this is an opportunity. Like I don't want to get too talky, but it's almost like when you pay your bills and you have that extra Monday So the bank is not going to open and the check is going to clear because you have enough on Tuesday.
Right.
The check's going to clear for the next 3 months. you know, you got a chance to get your stuff together. All the clutter in your bedroom, men, that you have, this is the time to get rid of the clutter.
That's true.
All of the issues that you have with your wife, right now you can talk about it. You don't, there's no more baseball. There's no more tournament. You
Hmm.
know, gosh, there's not even any horse racing. So this is an opportunity to recraft, redo, and re-energize yourself. So that's how I'm looking at it also.
I like that. And first, let me give a shout out to the people who are watching on Facebook, on
uh
YouTube,
Really?
on Periscope. My man
Get out of here.
Haywood, what's up? Dr. Pastor Gil Monrose. And thank you. LinkedIn is
Kill.
key. Good tool for utilizing career connections. Yes, get your LinkedIn together. You may want to, what I found that I'm doing now is going through all of my social media, going through my LinkedIn, fixing up
Mm.
language, fixing up all the
Yes.
things that are going to
Yes.
make my brand look better
Yes.
in the future. Because, before, here's the thing, we ran out of the house because we didn't really have much time to study, to read, to pray, to
Mm-hmm.
focus, to organize. And
Mm-hmm.
in the Bible, what God had done was every time men would just ignore God and act like
Mm-hmm.
his thoughts don't count, act like his law doesn't count, act
Mm-hmm.
like his word doesn't count, he would find a way to shut things down for a while. When Israel did
Mm-hmm.
not want to let the land rest, he said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make it rest and I'm going to send you a pagan king. I'm going to put
Mm-hmm.
you under pagan leadership since you want to worship idols. I'll give
Mm-hmm.
you as much idols as you can worship, and I'm
Right.
going to give this land a rest because really God was speaking up for the poor, because the
Right.
poor in the land were supposed to glean off the land that year, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why He said every 7 years give the land a rest. Let those
Mm-hmm.
who are less fortunate glean off of
Mm-hmm.
that. Like my man Andre McDonald is from the soul,
Yeah.
for the less fortunate ministry. That's what Jubilee was all about. And then Jubilee was also about if you had debt, or if you had a person who owed you debt, that was that seventh year to clear up all the debt. It was like, hey, you got to
Mm-hmm.
let it go after 7 years. Just let it go, let
well,
it ride. They ain't gonna pay you back at year 8. So let's
well, if
do
nobody
that.
pay you back in 7 years, they're not gonna pay you back
They ain't gonna
anytime.
pay you back
This is right.
anytime soon. So
But yeah,
those are
I'm
things that
sorry.
we look at. Go ahead.
Yeah, even for ourselves, um, we get a chance to make it right to our debtors too.
That's right.
You know, um, and also don't let the banks take advantage of you. Don't let Con Edison or your light place take advantage of you. So I suggested to somebody, if you're paying rent, talk to your landlord, and don't let them tell you that they need it for their mortgage, because on the backside of that, the mortgage companies have suspended their payments. So,
Yes, and if you have
so
a mortgage, please check with your mortgage companies. Talk to them now. Any bills you have, any credit cards,
mhm.
it's a good time to call them now and ask them
Finance,
how to.
the interest rate is now to zero.
That's right.
So you can do that for our kids who are still in school. You could take the time. You don't have to travel back and forth. You know, we want our son to do his MCATs, and there's a lot of criticism I'll put out there. I have no problem. There's a lot of criticism with on it at my alma mater. Now, at all my alma mater is about when did they letting them go or what have you. But Phil, when I saw the Ivy League stop their tournament, basketball tournament, I that was the secondary thing that got it serious.
Yep.
The first thing, and I meant to post it on the 28th of February. There was a doctor, and I'll try to post it up on Boss Move, Soft Move, or send it to you. The 28th, there's a doctor for the CDC, and she sat down with her family, and she says, this disease that is coming, is going to disrupt our lives. Now, the reality of every family, I don't know any family in the middle of the week sits down and have breakfast. I don't know because everybody's rushing out of the
Right.
house. But she was believable. She was believable. And when she said that the 29th, I had was in charge of church service for Sabbath school, and I told the saints, I said, you know, as a public health person who has done epidemiology, I said this is going to get serious. So let me just kind of put some things in perspective here. New York City is the biggest city in the country, so you know we're prepared to handle things like this. We're in the best place in the country, and that's, you know, you see what's going on, Bill De Blasio and Cuomo. And so the numbers that you see here, don't let it scare you, even though it's reality, because we've done the most tests. At the end of the day, it's probably going to be California or Texas, which probably have more people, but we have more people in the city, 8 million people. And the reality, when you have 5 or 6,000 people that are infected, that's less than 1% of the population in New York City.
Mm.
So when you see them mobilizing Jacob Javits Center, that's the expectation. In public health, we always plan. Almost like how many snowstorms has you been? Have you been?
Yeah.
And they line up all of the trucks and what have you,
Right.
you know, because they're preparing for the snowstorm. So when people go on the internet and be like, "Oh, we're gonna be under martial law," and yet they see the National Guard out or whatever, yeah, it's necessary. You know, you got people licking poles and and stuff like that, and sneezing on people,
Right. Yeah.
or playing basketball like it's a vacation.
You
You
got these young teenagers running around to older folk in the lines and
yep.
coughing or sneezing on or touching them and running and
Mhm.
acting like it's a joke. Like we're in the lifetime of You Got the Cooties, like the real
Yeah.
life of You Got
Yep.
the Cooties. And but some
Mhm.
kids are taking this as a joke. I mean, you're playing with people's lives here.
Yep.
Um, how do you feel about this is a podcast for men, but we're talking about just general issues. How do you feel
Mm.
about some of the churches that have stayed open?
Well, that comes along with the leadership, and that's on them. I think the best thing in public health, the way I look at it, is you know, you put your seatbelt on when you drive your car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, years ago, when I was little, we didn't have any seatbelts. You know, we just drove. And then after the seatbelts, we have the airbags, you know,
Right,
and even there's a fatality rate with airbags,
right,
but it's doing with the good. And here in New York City, we have Vision Zero, that we have to adhere to driving a certain miles per hour. And the most important one that we've seen in our lifetime is the way how we have attacked cigarette for preventable diseases. So the same thing applies here. Okay, we have to be smart. You know, there have been congregations, and it's documented. And then, you know, the next time we talk and we evolve, you know, we will put it on there on the bottom that there have been congregations that have had service, and people has come out with COVID-19 because they have went to the service. Now, how would you feel as a minister if you had service and a third of your congregation was infected because you decided to have service? That's irresponsible,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So that's a no-no. Um, that minister may not be arrested or may not have charges put against him, but I can guarantee you this, that he will lose the faith of his congregation. And I think that goes further in a lot of ways.
yeah, yeah. You've got to look out for people who can't look out for themselves.
Well, is that not why you in that business?
That's right.
First of all,
You've
all
got to
right.
look out, and this is a time where we have taken church into another level. Church hasn't closed down. We've just
Mm-hmm.
left the building.
Right.
Church has just left the building, and I've been doing this online for a long time. Even when I'm at church, I'm broadcasting
I
online.
know that, and you know, I'm a person that follows online services across the country. So, you know, I know you put your online service at right on the dot, and within that 5 minute period. And on Saturdays I jump around the country, and you're one of the leaders that jump around the country. So this transition is not hard for you,
No,
you know.
but I've
And
had to learn a lot. I've had to learn a lot of new platforms, and uh, you go through your technical learning experiences,
mhm.
but you learn, and if you keep working at it, I mean, it's a full time job. It's not like I'm just sitting around the house doing nothing, but it's a full time job to
Well,
really,
people think that.
yeah, get
So
that
for
coin.
people think that. Like for instance, at our church, we are starting a men's ministry prayer line on Thursday nights.
Yes,
So again, in the sake of transparency, um, we did that whole free conference call or whatever, and then you call in, it's busy or what have you. But before we launch, we on our fourth test today,
yes,
because we don't want. Let's say I say, okay, Phil, or anybody who's listening on this podcast, and say, come on, I want you to come
yeah,
on this prayer line, and you come in and you call every Thursday, and you can't get in. You got to make sure it's clean
right,
and consistent before it gets in. Nobody sees the work.
right,
I mean, look how long you and I've been planning this
yes,
together,
that's right.
and everybody see what I'm wearing right now. And Phil will tell you, I must have changed like 4 times, so so we could look some type of professional, or
That's right.
look like I'm talking at from CNN or NBC from my house. So,
Well,
but yeah, you get it, you
let me
get it.
jump to this. First of all, let me just take a sponsor break. This is brought to you by the Anchored Voice,
What, you got
helping
sponsored? No,
anchor,
I'm sorry.
helping men to anchor life. Now, the real
Mm,
sponsor of this program here is
mm.
Boss Moves or Soft Moves. This is
Oh,
the
you're trying to be
sponsor of
funny
the
now.
day. Boss
Yeah.
moves or soft moves. So let's talk about a boss move for a man right now.
Number
Man,
number
right now.
one,
What are boss moves for men in the house right now?
clean your house, man. Wash your dishes. Uh, you know, take care of your family and take care of yourself. The little things. Men who pay their bills are boss. Men who listen to their wives are boss. So I've learned to listen after 19 years, and listen to your children. So especially your young children, listen to their dreams. Um, you'll be surprised what your children are talking about and what they're listening to, um, how they come to you for advice, um, and take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. So number one, I'm all about in this season about organizing
Hmm.
and keeping in tune with your family. Your
That's right.
family watches you more than you think.
Let's
You
talk
know?
about organizing. You have a way of organizing your day in the beginning.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Talk about that boss move of organizing.
Uh, my devotion is very important to me.
Hmm.
So my mother gets up early in the morning to pray, and she has this prayer list. But I've used my early mornings to be transparent and talk about my hurt and my wants and my needs.
Hmm.
Especially over the last 3 weeks, I've been very intentional and pragmatic about my fears to God,
Yeah.
and all it has done is empowered me,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to continue to do that. So I'm Garry at 50 and not Garry at 25. And you know me all my life. I'm not Garry the promoter, the single person that I was. I'm Garry, a father, and taking care of mother-in-law, and kind of like the head of my family. And some days I wake up and like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And in order to maintain that, I'm going to need my fortification from God. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
it has
Here's
come to
another
that.
thing you got me doing. So I got this notepad. Now, this one I got from my aunt who works at DC Water.
Mhm.
Um, but you do things on the pad before you start your day. Talk about that.
Man, see now you're letting go my secret. So I have a to do list that I do every day, and I write down everything I do before I do it. So it is true. I carry a to do list, and I learned even if I don't finish the to do list, doesn't mean that you haven't accomplished anything for the day.
Yeah,
So down to the amount of water that I drink, um, the bills that I pay, the priority people that I call, and then I have a list of the clients that I see.
yeah.
And one thing I try to do as a man, I don't know if women gets this as much. Man, I try to return my calls. Everybody that calls, I try to return my call,
Yeah.
and there's no reason not to do that. And if they text me, I try to text them back and let them know that I'm not available or what have you. In fact, I'll share with everybody in my business. That is one of the reasons that I've become very successful. I cannot express if you have your own business, call back people and pick up the phone. You don't know. And they all would tell me they will go to Psychology Today and they say, "Oh, you pick up. When I call, nobody ever calls back." Bruh, that's money. That's how you eat. Now,
You know,
if that person if that business
yeah.
introductory part is not good for you, that's one thing. But the other thing is you got to pick up the phone and return calls.
Not only the phone, if
Mhm.
you are on social media and you tweet and you send Instagram posts, pay attention to those who are retweeting or
Mm.
mentioning you because they might be replying to your tweet.
You're right.
Now, some you've got to ignore because they have nothing to say.
Heck yeah.
But if
I'm
somebody's
not even
giving
gonna
you
get into that.
props,
Right.
try to reply and say thank you
Mm.
and things like that. But calling back is critical even for a pastor. And for me, I found I've had to just check up on members one by one each day and just see how
Look,
everybody's doing.
my pastor, Lawrence Brown, is our pastor now at Ephesus
Yeah,
Seventh Day Adventist Church in Harlem, and he will call you back or he'll text you, "I can't talk to you now."
right.
And same thing for Corey Marshall.
Yeah,
Those two guys, that is critical.
yeah,
But
love it.
going back to social media, when you have your platforms, there's people who are there. They have a whole lot of opinions. Even on Boss Move, Soft Move platform, you think you put out something as easy as I'll like I put up something the other day, and I'll just say this: Boss Move Soft Move is a personal blog. That's my feelings and that's my community. I don't share that community with anybody else. So if I say, who's your favorite Bond character,
Right.
you know yeah, and it's unexpected, and you see like your best friend's like, man, how could you like Roger Moore? I mean, I couldn't stand Roger Moore. Mine was Sean Connery, and I fell in love with Roger. Who's the new guy, Daniel Craig.
I
I
like
fell in
Daniel
love with.
Craig. I actually like
Right.
Daniel Craig.
Right. And so I'm going about to put up something, and I was into the music. So, I'm going to say, what's the best Bond music or whatever.
Yeah,
But then, people come on there and just try to say something out of left field. And, instead of responding to them, because I rarely respond to people on Boss Move, Soft Move, I just give it a like or I just keep it moving because I'm not there to fight.
yeah.
If you know to fight, I save that for the debate stage. That's what. That's not what I do. I'm not good at that.
Big shout out to my boy Ebenezer, Chuck. We all
Oh,
know Chuck Li. Now
Chuck. Oh yeah, Chuck.
this is
What's
going to
up,
be on
dog?
my audio version of the podcast, but I'm still giving a shout out.
Yo,
Uh,
let me just say something about Chuck, real good. And let me just say this. Uh, when I was looking for work or extra work, Chuck looked out. So,
mm,
but people think that because you're looking for a job, you have to get the job.
yeah,
But you find out what people's character is by helping, because every job does not connect, but every job connects to the next job. So Chuck looked out, said, Gary, you could look into this. Here's a lead, because one lead turns into another. Everything is not going to get you the job. But, I want to give about a year and a half ago, Chuck looked out and I looked into his company. Even though I wasn't working there, it still brought me to my journey. Some people take the 5 train and some people take the 2 train.
Yeah.
So, but we all end up at the same destination. So, big shout out to my boy Chuck in Long
Yeah,
Island.
yeah, no, he's a strong supporter, man. He came to one of my first performances when I was trying to get in the rap industry back in the day. He was right there, and then he took over and came out with his own rap music. So
Yeah.
he's got his own line. Check out Ebony's as well.
Phil, I'm going to say this because I can do this to you. We put up a tribute for actually our girl Jolie.
Yeah.
Put up a tribute. It was a better post than my post at Boss Move Soft Move over Malik.
Yes.
And then Jolie puts up something who she rarely puts something up. She had a great picture of Malik.
Yes.
Um, I think that's one of his best pictures.
Yeah.
And the stories
Oh man.
that came off of that is so I'm going to say this on this forum. Everything that everybody said on there, I can believe it because that's who Malik was,
Yeah.
and it was true. So I wanted to big shout out to you know those guys who put a lot in our lives
Big
growing up.
West for
Yeah,
real.
yeah, we missed.
Again, men, find some young man you can mentor,
Hmm.
find somebody you can pour into. Malik, Fife, Fife Dog. When I was in 7th grade, he used to come
Hmm.
by the school all the time, play ball with us.
Hmm.
Baseball, basketball, sit down, give us
Hmm.
advice. So
Hmm.
before he was rap artist, he was Malik, and
Right.
before and
Hmm.
after.
Hmm.
And even when he came out all the albums, made all the hits, he'd still talk to me like, "Hey,
Down to
bro,
earth.
I don't know if you want to really get in this industry. This industry is this and that."
Hmm.
So he still poured into me.
Hmm.
And just find somebody you can pour into and really counsel. Now before we leave, I have your information on our screen. So Garry Graham is available as a counselor, consulting, training, workshops, lectures. You
Hmm.
have his number right here on the screen, 718-514-0959, or
Yep.
Garry A. Graham at AOL.com. So want you to
Hmm.
check him out, give him a call, and this is the time to start thinking about your business that you're going to start and get that going. And that's your true boss move. So we want to thank Garry Graham
Hmm.
for this special podcast. This is a special live podcast of the
Thank you.
Anchored Voice, helping men to anchor life. And this is how we're anchoring life through this storm and through all of this. You want to say anything before we close?
Yeah, I want to tell everybody that first of all, uh, the government is putting out a stimulus package, especially if you have your own personal businesses. I just with these 4 things. One, make sure you follow up and go get your money from the government. They're giving a stimulus package. Don't think your business is too small or too big. Go to your 311 or go to your local SBA loan because the backbone of this country is a small business. Here in New York City, outside of the government, the second biggest industry is the restaurant business. So that's the second thing. Don't be discouraged, brethren. Um, Make sure you do the right thing. Follow your public health people. Stay inside. It's okay. Take this advantage to recalibrate yourself. Third, I just want to let everybody know life is precious. Take this opportunity to say to the people that you love them or show love what is happening. And last but not least, um, support your boy, support Phil. And you can hit me up on Boss Move Soft Move, and you can call me anytime. I will return your call, and it's okay to talk to me. And so let me just say this: I can't tell your business because if I tell your business, I lose my job, and I like the life that I'm living now. So I have to keep everything confidential, and that's the biggest thing a lot of people don't think.
Yeah.
And and I'm just going to put a shameless plug in for myself and Phil. Phil will have me back because he has no what's the word I say? He has no choice. That is my brother from another mother, and I want to express how much I love Phil because our relationship is a good strange relationship. So I'll say this, and I'll be personal. I don't care if he gets mad at me. I'm the older brother of Pat and Paul Graham, right? But my youngest brother is Phil Wesley, and Pat and Paul is in between us. So, we all kind of act like a family or whatever. So, Phil's my boy, man, from day one.
That's
So,
great.
I want you guys to support him, and he's the real deal. And I'm very proud of what he's doing. So, I don't get up on live videos because as you see, I don't do live videos. So, for you to get me up here, it's a pleasure and always a good thing.
Man, I appreciate it. You always have great advice, always
Mm.
great conversation. We can go
Yep.
on for a very long
That's
time.
true. That's
Listen,
true. That's
everybody, if
true.
you
All right.
enjoy this podcast, please subscribe to my YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
McGuire ENTV, McGuire
Mm-hmm.
ENTV. You can also see or hear the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play. So if you have any of those, you can check us out and rate and share our program for men that can use a lot of the advice that we're going to put out. The current one I have out before this one is called The Angry Man. 5 reasons. I talk about 5 reasons men get angry. And yes, Garry and I will be back. We'll talk about anxieties. We'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about different mental health exercises that we can do to anchor life. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. I'm your host, Dr. Phil, too, and this is Garry Graham. Boss moves, soft moves, and this is the Anchored Voice, helping men to anchor life. Welcome to the Anchored Voice. This is a podcast helping men to anchor life. I'm your host, Dr. Phil, too. Welcome to the program.